Well, it is that time of year again. It is it is the spooky season. Time for Mickey's not so scary Halloween party at the Magic Kingdom. I have been meaning to do this honest review for quite a while. I've been really busy, so I haven't had a chance to actually make time and sit down, because these honest reviews tend to take a little bit longer than the news, because I want to break down everything, make sure I cover what I want to cover. So these honest reviews tend to take a little longer than just recording the news or something of that nature. So I do apologize for this very late honest review of the party. It's I meant to do it like the next day after I got home. That didn't happen, and then things just got really crazy, really busy, so I haven't had a chance to just sit down and talk and share my feelings about this event or any of the other events. But let's see. I started going to the after hours parties. I think it was. Oh, was it 20? See, I came a pass holder in 16, so I think it might have been 17. 2017 is when I first went to the after hours events. So it's been 8 years. I've been going to these after hours for 8 years, okay? So, now I want to give you my very honest thoughts about what I thought of Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party at the Magic Kingdom in 2025. So sit back, relax, and let's take a look at this party. So, I have noticed ever since after COVID happened, around when they brought back these after hours parties, that they've slowly have been increasing capacity. They've slowly been increasing capacity and making sure that everybody experiences these after hours events. Look, I understand that, I get that, but if you're gonna sit there, if Disney is gonna sit there, and preach to me that this is that this after hours event is going to be less crowds, less wait times for your favorite attractions, and lower capacity for everything else, like parades and the fireworks and the stage show, or whatever, then that needs to be a thing. That needs to be a thing. And I don't think that that's happened ever since post-COVID. I've been to these after hours parties, the Halloween party and the Christmas party at the Magic Kingdom, for 8 years. I've been going to these parties for 8 years, okay? And I can honestly tell you that post-COVID, it has gotten so busy. The parties have gotten so busy, so crazy. They just don't, they don't seem like they're limited capacity anymore. They seem like just another park day. And I really think that that's bad show. That is bad. That is very bad show. Again, if Disney is going to say to me, multiple years, by the way, they just don't say it once. They don't, this is every year they say it, okay? it's lower capacity, less wait time, lower wait times for your favorite attractions and everything, then it needs to be that. It needs to be that instead of, it's an hour wait for, and some attractions I get it. Some attractions I get, an hour or more for Tron, an hour or more for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is really not out of the realm because they're lower capacity than, the dark rides are. Like Small World, like Pirates, like, Mansion, so that I understand. That I can't really get upset about because, roller coasters are, they're not great. Capacity-wise, they're not great. They've always been that way, and they always will be that way. So I get it. I get the, you can't really, with the roller coasters, you can't, it's not very, it's not very good to have a low capacity for those rides because, again, they're popular and they're always going to be busy. Okay, they just are. Okay, and it's not to say that, that Pirates or Mansion or any of the others are busy, but they have a higher number of people they can accommodate per hour. Okay, so these roller coasters they really can't. They really can't. So I'm not really going to hold it against the roller coasters. But I was in line. So I was in line for the Haunted Mansion. Okay, and the Haunted Mansion, I don't even remember. Was it like I don't know. It had to be a 30 to 40 minute wait time, which really isn't bad, but, I don't know if they stopped the ride or if they had technical problems with it or what, but we were in that line for more than 40 minutes. For more than, the posted wait time. I can't remember what that was, but we were in there way longer than the posted wait time. And, I don't know. Maybe they stopped the ride. Maybe they had problems. But no cast member was coming and saying, look, we're having technical difficulties or we're having, problems with this ride. I'm sorry about this. They didn't say that. They just had us wait, which again is bad show. If the ride goes down, because we all know how, the Haunted Mansion, okay, it's a continuous loading attraction, but if there's a guest or several guests that are in a wheelchair and they need the ride stopped so they can get on it, that's a different story. But it's not going to take them like 20 to 30 minutes to get them on the ride. All right. So, I think that was really bad. That was bad. That was bad show for Disney to just not say anything and have us wait in this extremely long line. Okay? So, whatever. But, all the other lines were, pretty. I only did, I did 2 rides. Like I said, you have to do Haunted Mansion when it's the Halloween party, and you have to do Pirates of the Caribbean. You have to. You have to do those 2 rides because they fit in the Halloween theme. All right, so I did those 2 rides. I want to express my disappointment with Disney with the Pirates of the Caribbean. So for those that don't know, pre-COVID, Pirates of the Caribbean used to have live pirates, and this was only at the Halloween party. Okay, they had live pirates in the ride everywhere. They would, they had pirates everywhere on that ride. They would interact with the guests. They would interact with the animatronics. It was fantastic. They were like, they would, try to, say, give me your candy and blah, 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 blah. One person, was on the ledge where Barbossa's, cannon, splashes in the water and it rises up, and one of the pirates says, "Hey, wait a minute, you almost hit me. What are you doing? I'm on your side," So it was that great, it was that great, interaction between, the live pirates and the animatronics, and then the live pirates with the guests. Again, they were, I wouldn't say everywhere, but they were in enough spots where, it just felt real. One of them was on the castle wall, after you drop down, after the waterfall drop, and after you passed Barbossa's ship, there was a live pirate there. And then as you went into town, when the pirates are kind of, wanting to buy the auctioneers trying to auction off the chickens and such, there was another live pirate in that scene. And then there was another live pirate at the so after you pass the what he used to be called the pooped pirate, after you passed him, there would be another live pirate up on the bridge, and then I think there was one more in the town. So it just made it real. It made it real. It made it more, there was that connection, with the live pirates. And then after COVID happened and everything else, they decided that it was best not to bring them back. It was best not to bring them back, and just have them perform on that little stage in front of Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm sorry. It's live entertainment, so I can't really get mad about the live entertainment, but Disney, really, you couldn't bring back the live pirates and Pirates of the Caribbean. Now when you ride it at Halloween, it's just the same ride. It's like, it's the same ride. Where pre-COVID, it was like, it was a different interaction every single time you rode that ride. Because the pirates were just, they wanted to loot you, they wanted to get your candy, which it was great. It was fantastic. And it's really a shame. Really, really a shame. And I think that that's really, really bad that Disney did not bring them back. I really think that that was bad. Because, us guests that have been there, that have gone to the pirate party for forever, miss them. And on the other hand, the guests that have never been before don't even know what they're missing. They don't even know what they're missing. They probably didn't realize, they probably didn't know that there used to be real pirates down there. But again, I think that was bad. That was really, really, really kind of stupid. Really, really, really idiotic of Disney to remove those pirates altogether. I think that was bad. I really, really think that was bad. That was a money thing. that was a money thing. All right? Because there were plenty of times when we got back to normal after COVID and everything, 2023, you know, you could have brought them back. Disney could have brought them back, and they chose not to. They chose not to, and they chose to have the band. They chose to have this pirate band now perform on the stage, kind of cat-a-corner tour to Pirates of the Caribbean. On the one hand, I hate that. On the other hand, it's live entertainment, so I can't, but, I mean, come on. Disney, I expected more. I really expected more. I really expected you to bring back these live pirates, and you didn't. And I'm sorry, but that's awful. That is terrible for them not to bring them back. Okay? That's just as bad as them not bringing back the citizens of Hollywood. All right? That's just as bad. Because now it's just a money thing at that point. Okay? So that was bad show. That was really bad. All right. So that's gonna be my number one rant. Really is no more live pirates in Pirates of the Caribbean at the Halloween party, and that makes me sad. That kills me inside. That really makes me sad, and it makes me upset. It really, really does. So, Disney, if you're watching this, sometime in the near future, bring back the live pirates in Pirates of the Caribbean. Please, I beg you. Get the pirate band off the street and put them back in the ride where they belong. Okay? So, I'm sure someone in the comments is going to come in. They're going to be like, but the pirate band is great. Yeah, they're fine. But it bottlenecks that pathway. Okay? And you can't walk around it. So, take the pirates off that stage, take them out, put them back in the ride where they belong. Okay? It's not a good compromise. It is not. Okay? So, that's going to be my main rant for this is, no more live pirates in Pirates of the Caribbean. All right? Trick-or-treat wise, trick-or-treating wise, the lines were great. They kept the line moving. It was really quick, really, really fast. So, I applaud them for doing that. Keeping the lines going. And the trick-or-treat stations were great. They don't move them. They don't move them. They're always in the same location. So, the trick-or-treat lines were not busy. They were not bad. Last year they were pretty egregious. I was like, okay, this is kind of outrageous. Maybe it was just poor staffing last year. I don't know. But, the trick-or-treat lines this year were great. Were fantastic. So, Disney, you get applauded for that. You do not get applauded for taking the live pirates out of Pirates of the Caribbean. Okay? But you do get applause for keeping the trick-or-treat lines moving. So that's great. That is great. Before I get to the overall crowd, I do want to say that I chose to stay there one night. I stayed the night of October 14th. Um, so, I didn't enter the park until about close to 4. Anyway, because I couldn't really check into my hotel until 3. So I didn't really, get into the Magic Kingdom until a little bit before anyway. Now I will tell you, the line to get into the park was awful. It was egregious. It was packed, and I was like, oh no, don't tell me. Please do not tell me that this is going to be how the night goes, because this is going to be awful. This is going to be awful. So the line for that was kind of in the middle. It wasn't bad, but it certainly wasn't good. So I was like, okay, well, oh, hey. And then I went to the check-in stand by Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. I posted a picture on that. That line was horrendous. That was so much worse than trying to get into the park. That line was horrendous. All right. So, I don't know if they, just didn't have enough locations set up or what, but that was insanity. That was insanity. I usually check into the parties at Mickey's PhilharMagic. I didn't. I checked in at Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. That was terrible. I don't know about by Mickey's PhilharMagic. If someone checked in by Mickey's PhilharMagic, let me know. Let me know how that line was, because the line at Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin was terrible. It was terrible. It took at least a good, I don't even know. It had to take at least a good 40 to 45 minutes to get the wristband and all of, the trick-or-treat bag and everything. So that was insanity. That was insanity. And if you're gonna have that, you need to have multiple locations set up at the park, okay? Instead of just, did they do one in front of Laugh Floor? They usually do, but I didn't see one this year. So, but if that's the case, you need to do more lines. Because there used to be one by Stitch's Great Escape. There used to be one by Monsters Laugh Floor. There's one in Fantasyland where Mickey's PhilharMagic is. So I don't know if this Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger one was a new one or not, but it was bad. It was really, really bad. So, Disney, if you should probably open up more locations. And not just have it confined to 1 or 2 spaces. Okay? So again, I don't know if someone happened to check in at Mickey's PhilharMagic, let me know how that line was. Because the one at Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin was insane. It was insane. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. Is this how the night's gonna go? So I was not happy. I was like, okay, this is outrageous. Is this what it's gonna be like? Because this is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So then I did the Hocus Pocus Villain Spectacular. I arrived really early. I think I was like, I don't know, maybe, gosh, I don't know, 45 minutes to a half hour early. Which I was like, oh, look at this. There's a lot of space here. Okay, this is great. And so I was up at the front. If you watched my vlog, which is up on this channel, by the way, you should check it out. If you watched my vlog, I was up front. I was up front, front row center. So I was like, oh, this is great. And then at one point before the show started, I just happened to look around, and it was busy. I mean, it was very, very crowded. So, I appreciated that I got there really, really early. So if any of you that are watching this video, if you haven't gone to the Halloween party yet, and if you want to make Hocus Pocus Villain Spectacular your must-do, get there early. Get there early. All right? I would say at least, don't get there don't get there an hour early, because that's unnecessary. But get there half hour early. I would say a half hour early if you want to get a good spot. All right. So, that's what I would say. So after the show was done, I decided to watch the parade. So I didn't really know where I wanted to stand. So I went to Frontierland first. Forget it. Frontierland was, that was out. You couldn't stand anywhere in Frontierland. It was, forget it. Everywhere from, and even in Liberty Square, it was, forget it. You weren't going to get a spot. All right. So I was like, okay, this isn't going to work. So at first I stood by one of the trash cans, because during the regular parades during the day you can stand there, just stand behind that taped line. I found out that you can't stand there. The cast member was like, very, very nice cast member. He would go, he goes, hey, are you here for the parade? And I said yes. And and he said, well, unfortunately you can't stand here. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know that. So I was like, thank you for telling me that. So I walked down, and then I was trying to find a good spot, and there was none. I was like, oh, crap. You've got to be kidding me. So in my video, I walked all the way to the front of the park. I went to Main Street. I walked, I was right by the train station, and it was empty. It was empty. I was like, bingo, right here. I was right in the front, right there in the front. And that was not, more people showed up, but it was not crowded. It was Main Street. For some reason, Main Street at the front of the park for the parades is never busy. I guess people, they want to see the parade when it first comes out in Frontierland. So that's where they all migrate to. But Main Street USA was perfect. It was perfect. Not busy. And again, it was, more people showed up. But it wasn't bad. It was like I had elbow room. I had enough space to, hold my phone up and video everything. I was not cramped. I was like, this is great. This is spectacular. So, I'm going to try that again for the Christmas parade. And if that happens again with the Christmas parade, then I'm going to come back and I'm going to tell you that, Main Street USA, right by the train station's where it's at. Because it's not busy. It is not. It's still, busy. There's still, it's lightly crowded, but nothing like Frontierland or Liberty Square is, or in front of the castle too. Okay, so Main Street USA, right by the train station, is where you want to go, because it was not busy. It was not busy at all. Now I want to talk about the weather now, because this after hours party is the only one that takes place during hurricane season. To my knowledge, this is the only one that takes place from August to October. Okay, and that's right in the middle of our hurricane season, right when it starts getting, when hurricane season starts getting ramped up, and and then we get more and more rain. So you just never know. You never know how this is going to go. Last year I went and it rained all night. It rained all night. It was, I couldn't, they couldn't do the full show of Hocus Pocus, Villain Spectacular, and they couldn't do the full parade. Which is, something you can't control. Okay, you can't. Disney doesn't control the weather. I can't control the weather. So you just never know what you're going to get this time of year. You just don't. And, I see a lot of comments on social media, and people are like, it rained and I didn't have a good time and they canceled everything and blah, 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 blah. And I wanted my money back and I went to guest services and blah, 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 blah. If you don't know that this is Florida's hurricane season, then why are you coming here in the first place? All right? Why are you coming here in the first place? Okay? So June through November is our hurricane season. June 1st through November 30th is our rainy season. Okay? That doesn't mean that it's not going to rain, in December or anytime else, because obviously it does. Okay? But we don't, we don't have the risk of severe weather, any other time, January, February, March, April kind of starts getting a little bit, but, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, that's, okay, that's the rainy season. That's the rainy season. Okay, so you just never know what you're gonna get. You never know what you're gonna get. 6, 7, 8 months out of the year. Okay, and for people to go online and complain and berate Disney, it's not their fault. It is not their fault. They cannot control the weather. Okay. And, and people, if you want your money back, or if you want to go on a different day, that's totally understandable. I get it. Okay, I get it. But for guests to go on these social media sites and complain, and they're like, I didn't have a good time, and you should not go to this party, and blah, 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 because it rained, and it was totally ruined my night, blah, 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 blah. Maybe you shouldn't be coming here in the first place. Okay, regular viewers are going to know that I say that all the time. I say that all the time because people, they don't understand the weather. They have no idea. They don't get it. They don't get Florida's weather pattern. All right. So, but if you're honestly concerned about the weather, then don't buy the tickets. Don't buy the tickets because, more often than not, it's probably going to get rained out. I got lucky this year. I got lucky. It didn't rain this year. Okay? I don't know what's going to happen next year. Okay? But I didn't get rained out this year. So I was very happy. I was pleasantly surprised. Okay? But last year, the last Halloween party was not good because it rained and, nothing could happen to its, full potential. But I'm not gonna get on social media and berate Disney and say, well, I'm never coming back because it's raining, it rained, and Disney never did anything, and blah, 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 blah. Because that's just stupid. That's stupid. That's idiotic and that's stupid. All right? So if you're going to go on social media and complain about that, then don't go. Do us all a favor and do not go to these parties. To the Halloween party or whatever. If that's what you're going to do. Because it's... You're just you're complaining about something that you can't control and Disney can't control either. All right? So, when people complain about the weather, I think that's just stupid. That's just stupid because Disney nor Universal can control the weather. They just can't. Okay? I really hate to break that to you, but newsflash, Disney and Universal cannot control the weather. Okay? So, I'm tired of hearing people complain about the weather because it's out of their control. It is totally out of their control. Okay? And if you're worried about, if you're worried about, the hurricane season or the rainy season or whatever, do your research. Do your research first, okay? And be like, hey, you know what? This time of year, August, September, October is not great. It's not great. Florida gets a lot of hurricanes. They get a lot of rain that time of year. Maybe we shouldn't go. Maybe we really shouldn't go, okay? Excluding the price, And again, someone's going to come in here and they're going to be like, well, they priced me out. And blah, blah, blah. Again, if you feel that they're pricing you out, maybe you shouldn't be coming in the first place, okay? If that's what you're going to complain about, those two things, the weather and the price, then don't come. Don't come here, okay? Because no one wants to hear that. No one wants to hear you gripe because it cost too much or the weather was nasty. No one wants to hear that. That's just... That just brings down everything, okay? It just brings down everything. So I think people need to get over it. They need to get over it. Now, do I think that that Disney charges way too much for, the tickets and everything? Yeah, they do, okay? They shouldn't charge 2 arms and 2 legs to get into these parties, okay? So, on one hand, I get it. On the other hand, I don't like to hear people complain. It's too expensive and I can't, So, that's, again, if those are the two things you're going to complain about, the price and the weather, then don't come. Don't show up. Do not come. Okay? Because it's just a downer. It's just a downer. All right? So, please don't do that. I hate it when people, get on social media or even when I hear them at the parks and they are yelling at cast members because it's raining. Again, they don't control the weather. They don't control the weather. So, I really hate to be that guy, but I'm not sympathetic. I am not sympathetic with you. All right? Now, if you go, and say to cast members, look, it rained. I really didn't have a good time. Is there a way that I can, come back on another day and experience this party? Okay, and they can, they'll be accommodating to you. But for people to go to guest services and scream their head off in front of these cast members and act like a big baby, I think that that's outrageous. That is outrageous. That is totally asinine for people to do. So I do not agree with that. Okay, doesn't mean that people aren't going to do it, because they are, because that's just the way that's just the way it is. But I'm personally tired of hearing people complain all the time. It's Walt Disney World. Okay, it's Walt Disney World. We're here to have fun. Why are you complaining about every damn thing? If you're not going to have fun on your vacation and you're just going to complain about every stupid thing, then why are you here in the first place? Why did you decide to come here in the first place? All right? So, it's totally outrageous. Totally outrageous. Now, I want to talk about the cast members. The cast members were fantastic. Fantastic. I cannot tell you how many great cast members I ran into when I was vlogging around the park. And when I was standing there waiting for the parade to happen, you'll see it on the video. This cast member, had a ghost on a stick and everything, had like a ghost that had Mickey Mouse ears on it, and walked up, and and I'm filming, and they they come right close to me and they go, woo, yeah. Which I was like, that is the Disney touch. That is the Disney touch right there, okay? Is the cast members. And then, the cast members are walking around and they're singing songs and they're, taking people's photos and they're acting like, it's the greatest thing ever. They pour their whole heart and soul into it. That's great. That is fantastic. Because, again, I've said this too many, many times, at Walt Disney World or Disneyland or Disney in general at these parks, okay? I don't care how good the rides are. I don't care how good the food is. If the cast members cease to care, then the place is no longer good, all right? If the cast members cease to care and be happy and they're walking around miserable and, and not creating that magic for guests, then the place has gone to hell. Then the place will have officially gone to hell. Okay? Now, there's some cast members, unfortunately, that are like that, but there are a ton of cast members that, completely go above and beyond the normal day and experience, and just like that cast member that came with the ghost and kind of had it going in front of the camera going ooh yeah and everything, and then cast members that are just they're dancing and they're and they're just and they just have like they're just directing traffic and they're dancing and they're singing, and it's like that's great. That is fantastic. Okay? That is the Disney difference right there. That is the Disney difference, okay? That's what cast members are supposed to be like. All right? So, if any Disney management at the parks is watching this video, the next time you go to these parks, pay attention to your cast members. Pay attention to your cast members. Because I can guarantee you that there's a lot of them that really make, wonderful magic and wonderful memories for the guests. All right? So, these cast members are the heart and soul of these parks. They are. And, again, I don't care how good the rides are. I don't care how good the food is. I don't care if that Cars Land or the Villains Land is the most spectacular thing they've ever done. If the cast members don't care, then all of that is for nothing. All of that is for nothing. So, with all these expansion plans and everything, the new Tropical Americas land coming to Animal Kingdom, Monsters Inc., Monstropolis coming to Disney's Hollywood Studios, the Cars and the Villains expansion coming to Magic Kingdom. So, that all that sounds great. All of that sounds really wonderful. But if the cast members don't care, then it's for nothing. It is for nothing. So, look, I really love the rides. I really do. Pirates of the Caribbean's leaves a little bit to be desired. I think it could be better, but, I love Haunted Mansion. I like Pirates of the Caribbean. I love It's a Small World. I love, riding The Little Mermaid. I love going on these rides. But it's absolutely the cast members. Absolutely the cast members. And no one is going to sit there and tell me that it doesn't matter. Because it does. It really, really does. They make the difference. The rides are the rides, okay? It's the rides are always going to be the same because they're audio animatronics. They're going to act the same and everything. So the rides are going to be what they are. But that special human interaction, that very special human interaction that's different every single time you go to these parks is fantastic. The good ones, not the bad ones, because I've had a couple bad ones too. But the good ones are absolutely the ones that, that I am like, thank you. Thank you for making these parks enjoyable. And I go to them. When a cast member is really, really nice and everything, and they've made my day, I say it to them. I'm like, thank you. Thank you for making my day more magical. You went above and beyond, doing something nice, for me, the guest, so thank you. They don't get enough credit. They really, really don't, unfortunately. Okay? And then I always go to guest services, and then I always say, hey, so-and-so over at, Fantasyland, or so-and-so over at Beauty and the Beast, or Indiana Jones, they really made my day. They really made my day, and I just wanted you to know that. I really wanted you to know that. So, now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't go to guest services if you have a bad interaction with the cast members, because you absolutely should. Absolutely should. You should go to guest services and say, hey, look, this person, so-and-so was very rude, very mean, not great. So you should absolutely go, whether it's a good experience or a bad experience. Okay, don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to, no, don't, I mean, don't go to guest relations and yell, okay, and say, that the cast member, blah, 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 and be nasty and rude, okay, but just go to them and say, hey, you know what, this cast member was not great, here's his or her name, and then here's my experience, okay, but don't go off on a rant and say I deserve to be treated better and blah 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 blah. Don't do that. Okay, please do not do that. Okay, just go to just say, hey, you know what? That cast member really didn't treat me really well. Let them know. Let them know the good and let them know the bad. And if Disney sends you a survey, tell them that in the survey, okay? Because, whether we think so or not, Disney listens to the surveys. They really, really do. All right? So, but with good cast members versus bad cast members, I cannot count on my two hands how many wonderful cast members I have had. I can't. I can count on one hand how many bad cast members I've had. Okay? That's so the good always outweighs the bad. Okay? So, but overall, the party, I had a great time. I didn't really think that the crowds weren't really bad this year, compared to years before. I don't know. I mean, let me know what you feel, how crowded it was on your party date, but I didn't think it was bad. I was pleasantly surprised. I was really pleasantly surprised. Few hiccups there, Haunted Mansion, just getting into the park and getting the wristband and everything. That could have been better, but overall, I thought the crowds were pretty good. They weren't okay. They weren't great. But it was just enough where it was enjoyable. It was enough where it was enjoyable. Again, I've seen a lot of other posts from people that say it was way too crowded and they couldn't do anything and blah 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 blah. But I'm very interested. Because I don't know how busy it is when I don't go. So I have no idea. Okay? So the night that I picked just happened to be not a huge, very busy night. So, someone, you'll just have to let me know how the crowds were with you. Other than, again, checking in and then, getting into Magic Kingdom and then checking in for the wristband. Other than that, I didn't think it was very hugely crowded. I really didn't. I was like, oh, I'm very pleasantly surprised. I am surprised that this party is not so crazy. It was much more busy when I went on Saturday to the Epcot International Food and Wine Festival. I couldn't even move. I couldn't even walk. It was so crowded. It was insane. I had never seen Epcot like that in a long time. So I was like, oh, this is awful. Okay? compared to the Halloween party, it was nothing. I mean, the Halloween party was not busy. It was not. But let me know how your party went. You know, was it busy for you? Was it not busy? I'm interested to know. Really interested to know. So, you know, but you know, those are my thoughts on the Halloween party. That's my honest review of the Halloween party at the Magic Kingdom. For a while, I kind of debated whether I wanted to do one or not, because I was like, this party's been around for a while, and it's the same thing, and it's like, I wish Disney would, you know, change. I really wish that they would, you know, kind of change the party from year to year. The inclusion of Ursula and a couple other inclusions into the parade were fantastic. I was like, more of this, please. More of this, please. And then the stage show, it's the same. It's, you know, they didn't add any villains. They didn't take away. It's just the same. And it's like, you know, it's, you know, one of the things I hear about Horror Nights at Universal is every year they change. Every year it changes. So it's like, why couldn't we do that here at the Halloween party? You know, why can't we just do that? You have a plethora of Disney villains to choose from. Okay? You couldn't just switch them out. You know, change. I mean, I know that all the dialogue except for the Sanderson sisters is pre-recorded. Okay? But, you know, it's probably not that hard to change out the villains. It's really not hard. I would assume it wouldn't be very hard to change out villains every year. Okay? But I don't know. I have no idea. You know, but that's my honest review. I think that this year was much more. It was a lot better than a couple years previous. It just, to me, it just didn't seem as busy or as crowded. I would love to hear your take on it. You know, was your party insanely busy or was it not crowded? So I'm you know, I would, you know, love to hear from you about that. But there you are. That is my honest review. I am so sorry that this is, you know, really, really late. But you know, time was not on my side. So I apologize for that. I am going to do another honest review about the reopening of Spaceship Earth. So again, hopefully that won't be, you know, that won't take as long as this one did. But look for that honest review in the not too distant future. Again, I'm going to do honest reviews for Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party and for Jollywood Nights when I go to those in December. So you'll have to wait, you know, a bit longer for those, but my Space Mountain honest review, my Spaceship Earth honest review, should be coming out very, very shortly, because I want to speak on that ride as well. So if you happen to like this video, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to my channel. It really, really helps out with the algorithm on this thing. You know, it really made me smile. I did a food review of the Remy milkshake at Epcot on Saturday, and I was amazed at how many views I got. So, you know, please, if you can, like this video, subscribe to my channel. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. But there you are. That is Michael's honest review of Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party in 2025. So I thank you guys very much for watching this video. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. Please keep each other safe and healthy. And remember that tomorrow is just a dream away. And if you get a lot of candy, don't eat it all in one night. All right. Thank you very much. You guys have a great rest of your day. Have a spooky Halloween season. And we'll see you next time.